What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are hanging in there, being as safe as you need to be out there. So I've been having issues with the fuel pressure on the truck for a while now. I actually didn't pass smog, and I assume it's due to that problem. Some days it's supposed to be set at 40 with the vacuum hose connected. Some days it'll be as low as 30. Some days it'll be as high as 50. Thing is, it doesn't jump around. It stays pretty consistent. It's very strange, but regardless, we're going to go ahead and I got the rebuild kit from Sport Machines for my adjustable fuel pressure regulator. So we're going to take the regulator off. We're going to go ahead and rebuild it and then pop it back on here. Couple quick things. So first of all, I see that it actually held 40 pounds of pressure overnight. So I'm going to have to take off my pressure gauge and let the pressure out of the system first. So that's an extra step I didn't want to do, but hey, that's the way it goes. The other thing is this kit did not come with a brand new O-ring. So we're going to see the condition. I sent an email to Sport Machines to ask about that. It seems strange that they wouldn't send a brand new O-ring. It's a simple, cheap little part. So regardless, we'll deal with that when we get there. So I'm going to go ahead, figure out what size tools we need here, and yeah, let's jump into this.
All right, guys, I quickly want to go over the actual tools I use. So hopefully I had the presence of mind to put this at the beginning of the video so that you guys will know what we actually needed. So first of all, gloves. You're going to be happy to have gloves. Ultimately, the only time I ended up taking them off was right at the very end to get the little I think it's 5/16. Yeah, the 5/16 bolts that hold the fuel pressure regulator on. To get those bolts back in, even these small little gloves here, I had to take them off. I just needed to be able to feel everything. Wasn't too hard. Before talking about this, the one thing I will say, be ready to have a lot of patience and don't do what I did. I tried to do it without taking off the charge air cooler. Just remove the 3 bolts, remove the hose clamp from the turbo, just pick it up, set the thing to the side. It's going to make everything so much easier. I should have done it right from the beginning. So on that note, to get the 3 bolts off, I used a 9/16 socket. So we use that to get the intercooler off, the charge air cooler. So for the actual bolts on the fuel pressure regulator, I use a combination of a deep well and a shallow 5/16. Use whatever wrench I use this little guy because there wasn't a lot of torque on these components, and this made it much easier to get in. If you have to use a standard size, I think it's the 1/2 inch, go ahead and do that. But if you can get away with using the small driver, I recommend it. Add an extension here just to help out with a few things with that. So screwdriver, you may have different amounts. This was basically to take the intercooler hose clamps off. And then the one other thing, so I did have a magnet ready, and this was beneficial. I did drop the bolts. They landed in the V of the motor, no problem. Just went ahead and grabbed those, pulled them back out. And I had to have the combination of the 16 millimeter and the 19 millimeter wrench. This is to loosen and remove the fuel return line from the bottom of the regulator. And I will quickly note that I wasn't able to get those wrenches in there when it was mounted, so I had to take off the 2 bolts that held it to the fuel rail. And then once it was away from the fuel rail, I was able to get both these wrenches on there, loosen it up, get it disconnected. And ultimately, these were all the tools that I really needed. I use this just for disconnecting my battery. So yeah, you may use a different tool. But anyway, just wanted to show you guys the actual tools that were necessary for me to get the job done. Oh, on top of it, sorry, I forgot to mention the 7 30-seconds Allen wrench that was necessary to remove the bolts. The bolts for the regulator itself. But I mentioned that in the other part. But yeah, you also want the 7/16 Allen screw or Allen wrench to be able to rebuild the regulator. All right, that's it as far as the tools.
All right, so you guys can see we're still sitting at just above 40 pounds of pressure here. So that's even more than it should be. It should be sitting right at about 40. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off and then loosen it up and go from there. All right, there we go. And oh, maybe I could spin it off my hand now. Oh, look at that. Our pressure just immediately dropped. Oh yeah, okay, so let me put this back to, all right, that was easy. Look at that. All right, get that nice and snug. And now we're back over here. All right, guys, so I did have to move the intercooler out of the way just to be safe. I was afraid of dropping bolts down in there. And as soon as they're down in there, the chances of me recovering them are, yeah, pretty slim. So we did remove the intercooler, moved it up out of the way. So I have a much cleaner shot at it now. I am using a 5/16 socket for the 2 bolts to hold the regulator on. I'm not sure what the metric sizing for that is. Hopefully if I have the presence of mind, I'll have that down below just in case you're stuck using metric. But yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and do this. The challenging part right now is I can't get the return feed line off the way it is. So I have to loosen it up, pull the regulator up, and then hopefully I can get enough torque on it to get the return feed line loose. So be back in a few once we get that figured out. All right, guys, I apologize for the sound outside. We got some tree trimmers out there. Anyway, I got the regulator off. Definitely was not an easy job. Not one of the hardest jobs in the Syclones, but you guys know with the limited space, especially back there towards the firewall, it definitely was not easy, but here it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean it up before taking it apart and starting the rebuild. So we got our electric cleaner here. I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna be taking it apart anyway, but I'm gonna do my best not to get anything down into the different holes here. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and clean it, and then I'll be back when we start doing the actual disassembly and rebuild process. All right, we're gonna go ahead and try to rebuild this bad boy. We got the new diaphragm. You guys can see it's actually 2 different diaphragms stacked together. And we got a whole new set of bolts and washers. This is a 7/32 Allen that I'm using. I imagine it'd be the same when you do it. We're just going to unbolt this. Tight fit, a little rusty. These, the new set of bolts looks like they're stainless steel, so that might be a nice little upgrade. Alright, well this is, definitely feel a spring in there, pushing this up, so let me loosen this one up a bit. It definitely feel, yeah dude, oh my god. Maybe I should have left one of the other bolts in loose. Yeah, so you know what? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna see on the opposite side. We're gonna see if we can get one of these just in there a little bit. See, and this is one of the things. So they said, oh, there's no instructions, just take it apart, you know, just do it like the way it is. Well, this would have been a great thing to have instructions on is loosen these all a little bit at a time. Don't just loosen up all of them. Systematically let it raise it up. That would have been some great knowledge. More reasons. All right. And there we go. Just try to keep this thing from just flying away. All right. Whew. All right, so. All right, now we want to keep this all in one, all together the way it should be. All right, so spring is pretty heavy duty there. Definitely, check that out. It's like a valve spring. All right, so you can
set this here. And now, so I'm noticing we're going to go this way. I don't immediately see a rip or any problems with this. Yeah, that's strange because I'm not, I mean, it's a little worn, you know, and maybe that's it. Maybe, I don't know if you guys can see, but it doesn't look like we have anything actually that's compromised it. So, a bit strange. Not exactly sure where the failure is or if there's even a failure. But I will say it's nice and clean, probably from all the fuel going through that. So I am going to go and spray this off real quick just to get this edge nice and clean. And we'll be back. Let's put it together. In fact, I'm going to blow out both of these and try to clean these up as best I can. Alright, now the fun part, putting it all back together. So, real quick, I sprayed everything down with the electronic cleaner here. And this, I don't want to spend too much time, but I did take some Meguiar's aluminum polish just to clean it up a little bit more. And yeah, so now, and the other thing I did is I loosened the locking nut, and then I brought this up all the way just to make it easier so we don't have a lot of spring tension on here. So hopefully this will help when it's time to put all this back together here. So, I'm going to go ahead and, what is this? It looks like there's a little bit of rubber. You know what? I'm not going to worry too much about that. We're going to hope that everything sits exactly right. So, there's our diaphragm, just the way the old one was. I'm going to set our spring in there. And from my recollection, we want to have this oriented the same. So I'm going to set this on here, and our vacuum hose is going to be away from the fuel inlet to give us maximum amount of room there. All right, now we're going to go with our new bolts here. All right, so one at a time, we're just going to get each one of these started. So. So now I'm just going to do this to where it's kind of seated. I'm just going to spin each one of these around until there's just a little tiny bit of tension. And as we spin each one of these down, I see like each one, there's a little bit more left. And so we're just systematically cruising around it, and just making sure everything is just snugged all the way down before we start tightening anything. Alright, now all I'm going to do is, and they didn't give me any torque specs, they said just do it, so I'm just going to tighten that a little bit, go 180 degrees, tighten a little bit, good. Alright, so that should be the entire rebuild process right there. So now, I think this is probably a different size than, yeah, of course. So we'll I'll tighten that back down once I get it down on there and we get it mounted. But there we go, guys. So that is the rebuild process. The kit did not come with a new O-ring, so that was just a bit concerning, but luckily this thing looks like it's in great shape. This is the first time I've ever taken it off, so I didn't expect it to be damaged or anything like that. So hopefully this will be good. And yeah, there it is, ready to go. And just to quickly, I don't know how well you can see this. I'm trying to keep my hands out of the way here. So a little dirty there. This is the underside, so this is where the fuel was coming in. And So you can see this little bevel here, and this is probably the issue. So if you could see that over time, this just kind of, the pressure, push that up a little bit. We have some wrinkles and stuff there, and again, I don't see any rips or anything here. I don't see how this is possibly compromised. Maybe underneath there someplace, but I'm happy we did this. So the next step now is going to be to carefully put this guy back on. And once it's on, we prime the system, make sure that we don't have any leaks, and then go from there, adjusting the fuel pressure.
All right, we're going to put the regulator back in now. I emailed Sports Machines to ask them about not getting new O-rings. And what they said is check the condition, let them know if there's a problem, replace as necessary. I do find it kind of strange that they just don't send 2 O-rings, but this one looks decent, and the one on the fuel return line looks pretty decent. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to have a camera set up while I put this in, but I'll show you guys the results after I get this set up. I'm going to get everything kind of lined up, tighten it up, and then we'll get back to you and show you how it's looking. All right, so we got it all back together. See, we got the regulator down in there, and I ran it for a second, and I do not see any fuel leaking yet. I'm going to take a little break, and then in a bit we're going to come back and set the pressure. All right, so we got everything back in here. It doesn't look like we have any fuel leaks, so we're going to go ahead, fire it up, and then we're going to go ahead and try to set the fuel pressure. So let's make it happen. All right, so with the engine running, what you will do is we would disconnect the vacuum line, and this will, you'll see the fuel pressure will go up. So in my particular case, because I'm running the Todd Austin chip, I'm going to be running it at 50 PSI. You got to figure out for your particular application. But point is, so the engine will be running, you'll take that off. We got a 7/16 that we'll put on here to loosen this up, all right? And then what you do is you'll take a 3mm Allen, you'll put it in here, and you'll just spin this up or down to adjust your fuel pressure. Once you have that done, what you want to do is then pop this back on, tighten it up, check again that the fuel pressure didn't change. It may change a little bit when you tighten that back down. Once that is all set, you go ahead and reconnect your hose, jump over, check your fuel pressure. Again, I haven't been running it, and that's pretty much it. As soon as you got that done, your fuel pressure is now set, and at that point, you're ready for some road testing. All right, just to confirm, you're now right at 40. Now the one thing I'm going to be checking out the next couple of days is, does it stay nice and consistent? How's it run? I got to be honest, already it sounds better. I might be placebo effect, but overall this was not that hard of a job. Again, just have to have the patience and make sure to take the intercooler off. It makes it so much easier to get down in there. And of course, next day or two, I'm going to be checking to make sure we don't have any sign of fuel leakage. But overall, we're looking good. We're sounding good. All right, guys, so that's the process to remove, rebuild, and then reinstall an adjustable fuel pressure regulator from Sport Machines, as well as how to then go ahead and set the fuel pressure. All right, you guys be as safe as you need to be, and we'll see you in the next video.